you're leaving Madrid, you're going to a football club. This is by my understanding of your admission that you didn't particularly want to go to. You're now moving from Liverpool to this ridiculous
but regardless
heights.
of what happens after, what's the point? The point is, was your time at Real Madrid successful? What happens after isn't whether that was successful.
Well, it kind of is though, isn't it? Because if you're a raging success in Madrid, you ain't leaving Madrid to go to Newcastle, are you?
Well, no, but I spoke to Sir Alex Ferguson at at a similar time. I spoke to Liverpool at a certain time, and etc. etc. And Liverpool had
an option.
But had they just signed, was it Torres or Suarez? Anyway, they had some.
Right.
But I was going to go back to Liverpool after they couldn't. Liverpool bid 10 million for me, so I could have gone back to Liverpool.
But Madrid wouldn't have accepted that money.
Well, Newcastle came in at 16 at the same time.
But you're the player. If you don't want to go to Newcastle, you're not going, are you?
Well, and that was the big decision at the time. And my decision was: do I sit around in Madrid,
with
might
all these
not
other
play
factors.
World Cup at the end of the year, or shall I at least go home and play, but then guarantee it and get it in my contract that I can go to Liverpool after a season? Which Liverpool said, right, do that. Okay, we're not going to be able to bid any. We haven't got the money to bid 16 to match it. Madrid was saying to me, it's Newcastle or nowhere. Yeah. We're happy to keep you. But so Madrid didn't kick me out. They wanted me to stay.
Right.
But I just felt that with all those
different
things,
factors,
yeah.
So you go to Newcastle, and you're signed by Graham. He actually attributes the fact that he holds you responsible for losing his job because you get injured against Tottenham. And he's looking at the fact that you're injured, and he's watching you. He's walking down the tunnel. You're not getting up, and you're not getting up, and you're not getting up. And he's thinking, "I've got no goals in this team now. I've got no chance of doing what I want to do." I'm not saying that he means that in a nasty fashion, but I'm saying that his perception of you is that I got a top pro and a top player, and a top performer. When you look at your time at Newcastle, and you come into this huge fanfare, this absolute adoration, this St James's Park. I mean, you stand on the top of the stairs, don't you? And you've got hundreds of thousands of people there. Was that uncomfortable for you?
Not uncomfortable. I mean, I enjoy, like, there is a misconception that and obviously in my book I wrote some things that I probably fuel it. But of course people will take lines out and not listen to the rest of it.
I understand.
I love Newcastle. I loved the people.
Yeah.
I lived there for 4 years. We had some unbelievable times up there. Really unbelievable. Playing alongside Alan Shearer was a big draw. Playing for Graham Souness was a big draw. Looked up to him. What a man! When I was coming through at Liverpool, he was the manager. And the fan base, the passion. I thought, getting back into the Premier League, that's where I belong. And I was
a fan
really
base
excited.
You describe as being deluded.
And I was really excited about going there. I started great. First half of the season, we were banging goals in, me and Al, and we were scoring, and we were doing great. My problem is I played against Tottenham, New Year's Eve, I think it was, and trying to score a goal, stretched for the ball.
And your metatarsal.
And did my metatarsal. Paul Robinson in goal, landed on his knee, onto my foot, crushed my foot, broke a bone in my foot. It wasn't, it was me putting my foot where it hurts to try to score another goal for Newcastle United. But then I'm obviously out. I can't do anything. I've broken my foot in action for Newcastle, trying to score a goal.
Yeah.
I then try to come back. The operation wasn't that successful, and I sort of have to have it re-operated on. And then I go to the World Cup, and because I've been out for so long, my whole right leg is pretty, what's the word when it's not strong enough, muscular. It's
debilitated.
Yeah. And it's weak, and I go to the World Cup and I do my knee. It was just simply I wasn't strong enough to support my body. And I'm now out for a year. So I've been out for 4 or 5 months with a broken foot. And then I came back, and I remember, and this was the hardest bit, because I can take a few people sort of saying, when is he going to be back? Is he interested in coming back? It's like, you want to see the blood, sweat and tears. I'm trying to get fit again. I come back, and I remember, and I'm away at Watford, and I play the ball to someone, and I turn to make a run, and I bang into one of our own players, and his shoulder connects with my jaw, and I'm concussion.
Yeah.
I'm concussed. So I'm in the dressing room, and I start coming round apparently, and anyway we go home, and I'm watching Match of the Day on that night, and I start hearing like something like "We want our money back" or "What a waste of money" or something like that. And to me, that's like just not on. You know, it was just like, you what? I just couldn't. That's me. Like, I'm pretty principled as a guy. I'm friendly with but if you piss me or if you do something that absolutely is not,
you don't think that's fair. So,
and if it's not fair, and okay, it might have only been 100 out of 5,000. I don't know. And that's relationship gone in my eyes. I just at that moment thought, do you know what? I've worked so hard to get back, and they've started singing that, and I it just killed it and break me because something like that went. But it just it hurt me. It hurt me.
But
badly.
do you think things, Michael? Like, because I don't know how I'd feel about it. I know this is an incidental, but flying to training in a helicopter and stuff like that is bloody nonsense, mate, isn't it? It was an own goal in a way, but again, something like this is taken so out of context. I lived up there. I'm a massive family man. Yeah.
By that time now we had 2 kids, and my eldest was starting school. With all due respect, I thought that I might be going to Liverpool after the year, maybe the next summer, because in my contract each summer I could go to Liverpool. Now, so I always thought,
your heart's not really there though, is it, mate?
My heart's in Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, your Newcastle are like a gatekeeper for you. They're just there because they're the club that will sign you. Because
if you
all you're
like
doing is treading time, waiting for the opportunity to get back to Liverpool.
To go back to Liverpool, yeah. Is that bad?
I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's good.
I mean, it doesn't mean you try less. But let's not sort of confuse this with I'm here and I'll just pick up money and I won't try and whatever. I mean, Kevin Keegan then came in, I'd scoring goal after goal after goal. I mean, I was club captain. I loved my time.
I'm not questioning your integrity.
Nonsense.
I'm not questioning
the helicopter nonsense is, I'm a family man. When I got a day off and my kids are starting school, I knew that I wasn't going to be live in Newcastle when I retired. My home, my friends, my family, I've always been in Chester. Yeah. So when I'm playing on a Saturday and my mum and dad want to come up and watch, be able to fly them up was a lovely thing to do. My family used to come and watch me all the time. I never used to see my wife all week. For her to fly up with the 2 kids, and my dad lived with me and whatever up in Newcastle, but for my family to be able to fly up, all this nonsense that I was flying into training every day is what it is. It's a total nonsense. Right. I lived up there.
Okay. It culminates at Newcastle in this, I suppose, ultimate deterioration, which plays out later on between you and Alan Shearer. There's this rather unsightly situation that develops between you and him, isn't there? Where I think he's pretty much accusing you of not wanting to put yourself out to play at the back end of the season. Some have alleged that there's a move to Man United in the offing, so you're not putting yourself at risk. What do you make to that? And obviously you two, in fairness to you, have got into a little bit of a shitty Twitter spat where you've had a go at him about where he was going to go and how long he was going to stay at Liverpool, at Newcastle, sorry, and where he might have gone to. And him coming back to you and saying, well, that was good of you to play for 120 grand a week and you didn't like it up here. Tell me about that. I mean, clear it up.
Well,
are you mates now?
No. So what happened there? I only found out about this months after I had left Newcastle from a mutual friend who was at Umbro, and we obviously, me and Alan both wore Umbro boots. And I had no clue. So he never asked me, never mentioned anything to me or said or accused anything, never spoken to him about it. So I was as upset and as, bewildered as anyone. I don't know how long it was, a week, 2 weeks before the last game of the season, so there was still a couple of games to go, I've pulled my groin. We've had a scan and you can see a big tear in my groin. It's at least a 3-week injury. Now, bear in mind, Simon, I've had lots and lots and lots of muscle injuries. I could write a book on muscle injuries. Yeah. I can certainly teach Alan Shearer what it is to have a muscle injury. He never really suffered muscle injuries, had a couple of bad knee injuries. But until you've had a muscle injury, you will know. It's not something that you can, like put on a brave face and go, it debilitates. You cannot play if you've torn a muscle. You just can't do it. I've got an injury. I need to be out 3 weeks at least. We're about a week into the rehab. I'm never going to be fit to play last game. It can't happen. I'm never going to be fit. But it's the last game of the season. And I've torn muscles before. And I didn't have any idea about any other club. I mean, that's been proven. I mean, literally Alex Ferguson phoned me about a day before I signed. And he can tell you that. So all that is just nonsense to make the story have a bit more credibility. I had no idea where I was going to go. Newcastle, in fact, played silly buggers with me at the stage, because about a year before they put into the paper that they had offered me a new contract, and I think it was about 20% of what my current contract was. And as soon as they offered it me, it went into the local paper that night. Michael Owen signed it, and all of a sudden I'm like, they've offered me a what? And when I didn't agree to this like 80% pay cut, it was Michael Owens decided or rebuffed that. It's like, it was total mind games, total games up there.
But what about, it's a bit nasty what's going on here though, isn't it? I mean, you've played together, you've come there because you wanted to play.
But let's get the story out of the way. So I'm 3-week injury at least, and I'm a week into it. 2 days before the game, Al pulls me into his room and said, "How is it?" I'm like, it's getting better. Like, it's obviously getting better. I'm feeling better, but I'm like screwed if you think I can, sprint around and whatever. And he said something like, "Well, should we give it a go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Let's give it a go. Nothing to lose. If it tears further or, if it's then." So I go out day before now. So I said, well, there's no point in me trying to train. Let's give it another day. And I'll try to train the day before. Day before Aston Villa comes, I go out. Physio says, right, come on, we're going to go and do it. I get in before everyone else. I go out. I start running. We're building and building and building. It's fine at about 50, 60, 70. As soon as I start sprinting, it's like, I can feel it tugging. If I push a little bit further, it's just going to go even more. So he's like, well, should we push it further and see? I was like, I know his name, but physio, I've done this, 25, 30 times. It's just going to make it worse. Why don't we just quit while we're ahead? We've got myself up to 80%. I can't train as soon as I kick the ball or sprint. So I go back into the after training, into Alan's thing, and he goes, how was it? And I said, if I had pushed any further, it would have gone. And he said something to me at the time, saying something like, well, are you not going to give it a go or whatever? I said, well, do what you want, but I would suggest stick me on the bench. Yeah. If we need a goal with 10, 15, 20 minutes,
in the game stretch,
I'll goal hang a bit, I'll stay around and I'll try to get a chance and I'll knock it in. That would, if you start me, I'm going to be going like that. 15, 20 minutes in, I'm going to be coming off. So, but do what you want. And that's the absolute God's honest truth. That is exactly how it went, and it's exactly how it played out. Alan put me on the bench, brought me on with 10 minutes to go to try to score a goal, and that's exactly how it played out. To say I refused, to say I didn't want to say I, whatever you want to say, bottled it or this or that. I've played in a million games, I've never bottled a game before in my life.